How did your work for the Carter Center impact your corporate career?
Well, my work at the Carter Center essentially thrust me into conflict zones. By definition, therefore, you've got parties in an antagonistic relationship towards one another, and your job essentially is to lower that antagonism with the ultimate hope of essentially something resembling peace coming about. So the point here in terms of my work, in terms of how it flowed over into my corporate work later on, was very much bringing people together where there was conflict. Now, obviously, the type of conflict that you have in the corporate context is very different. Let us say, for example, the situation that you face when you are in a war zone. But the underlying psychological forces at play are very much the same. You have to bring people together. You have to overcome conflict with a goal of fostering a common good. So I essentially had the ultimate testing ground, the ultimate preparation ground for acquiring those types of skills that are many times required in bringing teams together, especially if you are talking about a context that is multinational, cross-cultural, diverse. So this is the way that my work for the Carter Center shaped my work in the corporate world and actually helped me to excel very much in that context.
Do you think it's helpful to have worked for an NGO?
Absolutely. I actually think it's beyond helpful. I think it's imperative these days when you enter the corporate world. Consumers these days take into consideration factors that they did not take into consideration into the past. Corporate social responsibility is not something that companies came up with because it was something that sounded nice. It is something that is driven by consumer demand. Consumers these days are much more discerning in terms of factors beyond mere price. Where a product came from, under what conditions was it produced. So these are all insights that when you are working inside of an NGO, you're obviously confronted with on a daily basis, because from an NGO point of view, your perspective is on those very same people who are the producers of those products, who work in challenging contexts, who are confronted every day with the presence or absence of corporate social responsibility. So having been in that mix, having worked, so to say, on the other side in terms of the people who are affected by the decisions that corporations make, absolutely, without a doubt, unequivocally, having NGO experience for any corporation these days is very, very, very important in terms of the individuals that they employ.